You know that feeling when someone tells you to just think outside the box? It's kind of frustrating, right? It makes it sound like great ideas just pop out of nowhere in some eureka moment you have to wait for. But what if innovation wasn't about waiting? What if it was a structured, repeatable process that you could actually lead your team through anytime you need to? Well, let's get into it, because today we are unlocking that exact process. So, if you're the person in your organization who's supposed to be driving innovation, you know the biggest hurdle is almost always the culture. It's this deep-seated belief that creativity is some kind of rare, unpredictable magic. And honestly, that myth is what keeps teams stuck, just waiting around for a lightning bolt of inspiration that might never even show up. So let's just tackle that idea head-on. Is creativity really some special gift that only a few people have? Is innovation something that only happens when a lone genius has a brilliant idea all by themselves? The answer, and this is really important, is a resounding no. And that brings us right to the problem we're here to solve. This myth that great ideas only come from some random flash of insight. It isn't just wrong, it's a terrible strategy. I mean, relying on chance is not a business plan, right? Real innovation needs a toolkit, not a lightning rod. Okay, so this is where we make the big shift, from myth to method. Instead of sitting around waiting for ideas to happen to us, we're going to explore a really powerful framework for making ideas happen for us, systematically, on demand. So let me introduce you to our tool for today, SCAMPER. At its core, SCAMPER is a structured brainstorming technique, and it's built on this really powerful idea that basically everything new is just a clever modification of something that already exists. It's not about inventing from scratch, it's all about reinvention. And listen, this isn't some new fad. This method has a really solid history. It actually started way back in 1953 with an ad exec named Alex Osborne and his huge checklist of questions. But then, in 1971, a guy named Bob Everly brilliantly distilled it all down into the simple, memorable SCAMPER acronym we use today. It made the whole thing accessible to everyone, from classrooms to boardrooms. So, how does this thing actually work? Well, SCAMPER is an acronym for 7 different prompts. I want you to think of each letter as a unique lens, a special pair of glasses you can put on to look at any existing product, process, or problem. What these lenses do is they force us to break out of our usual mental ruts and see a whole new world of possibilities. So here they are, the 7 lenses of SCAMPER. You've got substitute, where you swap things out; combine, where you merge ideas together; adapt, where you borrow a solution from somewhere else; modify, where you change the scale or size; put to another use, which is exactly what it sounds like; eliminate, where you simplify by removing things; and finally, rearrange, where you change the order or layout. These 7 lenses, this is your toolkit for transformation. Let's take a look at a few up close. All right, first up, S is for substitute. This one's super straightforward but incredibly powerful. It just asks you to think about what parts of your product, your service, or even your process could be swapped out for something else. And to really get your team's gears turning, you can use guiding questions just like these. What if we used a sustainable material instead? Could we swap out this complicated process for a much simpler one? See, these aren't just random questions, they are direct pathways to innovation. Let's jump to C and see how things build. Combine. This lens is all about synergy. It really pushes you to look for opportunities to merge completely different ideas, services, or technologies to create something totally new and way more valuable. The questions here are all about creating value through fusion. Can we combine a couple of features? Can we merge with another company's service to create an irresistible package deal? This is where some of the most disruptive, game-changing ideas are born. Okay, now for one of my absolute favorites, E for eliminate. Look, innovation isn't always about adding more features. So often, the real genius is in strategic subtraction. This lens asks you to really think about what you can remove to simplify, to streamline, and ultimately to strengthen an idea. So, the key question to ask is, what can we get rid of to make this thing better? Can we simplify the customer journey by just cutting out a few steps? This focus on removing friction is such a powerful driver for innovation that puts the user first. Now, this all sounds pretty good in theory, but the real power of SCAMPER is that it's actually behind some of the most successful business innovations that you and I see every single day. Just think about it for a second. Beyond Meat is a masterclass in substitute. The smartphone that's probably in your pocket is the ultimate example of combine.
Lego used to combine to merge their physical toys with amazing storytelling for the Lego movie. See? This isn't some abstract theory. It's the engine that powers real-world success. Let's just zoom in on McDonald's for a second. It's such a brilliant case study. They used eliminate to get rid of waiters, basically creating the modern fast food model. They used rearrange by having customers pay before they eat, which was totally revolutionary at the time. And they used put to another use when they realized their core business wasn't actually hamburgers, it was real estate. That is the incredible power of asking these simple questions. So we've seen the theory and we've seen the proof. Now let's talk about the most important part, how you, as an innovation catalyst, can take this tool and put it into action to facilitate real transformation in your own organization. Honestly, running a session is pretty straightforward. You start with a crystal clear problem statement. You walk your team through the 7 lenses, then you go through each prompt one by one, and this is the most important part. You record every single idea without any judgment. The goal here is pure quantity, not quality. You can sort through and prioritize everything later. And here are just a few pro tips to make your session a huge success. Put a time limit on each letter, maybe 5 or 10 minutes, just to keep the energy up. You have to create a judgment-free zone where even the wildest ideas are celebrated. And most importantly, you have to end with a clear action plan. Because an idea without an owner or a next step, that's just a wish. So there you have it. We've demystified innovation and handed you a practical, proven toolkit. The only thing left to do is to actually use it. This method isn't just another checklist. It's a whole new mindset that shifts you from passively waiting for inspiration to actively building the future. The only question left is, what's the first problem, product, or process that you are going to scamper?